The organization Shield of David, in conjunction with the city of El Cajon, hosted a pro-Israel rally Sunday at the Prescott Promenade in downtown El
The
Cajon.
rally is important because of the rise of anti-Semitism going on in the country, and it's going unnoticed, unreported, and nobody's doing much about it. Not in Congress, they are very silent about it. And I think it was about time that Jews and Christians united together to fight against anti-Semitism.
The pro-Israel event was met with opposition by Palestinian protesters who convened at the El Cajon City Park, joined by other groups like Jewish Voice for Peace and Unión del Barrio.
Yeah, we're here today. We're 12 organizations who came out today to really come against the Christian Zionism rally being hosted by Shield of Israel. It's extremely alarming that Mike Pompeo is coming to El Cajon and that Mayor Bill Walz is welcoming him. El Cajon is known as Little Baghdad, and it's known for its history of being a safe place for the Arab community, Middle Eastern community, Muslim, Christian, Jewish community, all alike.
City of El Cajon Mayor Bill Walz said he welcomed the Israeli rally as a united task between Christians and Jews.
Talking about how it would be really important to bring Jews and Christians together. Usually Jews and Christians have a lot of the same values, but they stay on opposite sides and they don't mix and mingle together very often. So that was kind of the original plan. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, yes, the New Testament comes from the roots of the Old Testament. One people, two books, one book, two people, one people. And so that's where the foundation is. Everything. Sure, absolutely. The prophets were from Israel, Jews, and so were the apostles that preached the gospel to the Gentiles.
This is great. We have a bus.
Palestinian Christian activists disagreed.
Here to educate the American public about the cause and the issues of the Palestinian people, the native citizens and the native people of the land of Palestine, whose their land has been stolen from them, and that by the state of Israel who stole their land.
That those Christian Zionism know that Israel and Zionism itself, they don't even believe in Christ, and to take this disgusting position is really sad. It's nothing but politics. It's the right wing and the racists in this country that are buying these ideas. Christian Zionism know that Israel is anti-Christ. They don't even believe that Jesus ever existed.
Still, other Arabs stood with Israel.
What brings you here today?
My name is Ayad. I just came here in support of Israel, and I'm not here. I don't hate somebody. I don't support. I'm not against Palestine. I lived in Palestine for a year as well. But what I believe in, we should never. This guy signed said end the 10 billion. Thank you. The 10 billion per day to support it. We should support all the other countries because that's how America is. We support countries. We get supported by other countries, and people like this want to come out and think that we hate them or we disagree with their opinions is absolutely wrong. Because I'm Middle Eastern, I'm Catholic, and I wasn't born here.
The Israel rally featured a variety of speakers and entertainers.
When you say Israel's an apartheid state? Well, people say Israel's an apartheid state, but I can't relate to that baseless hate. It's not really fair to try and compare a racist regime with the war on terror. Using common sense against violence, Israel had to build up the border fence. And if you think that's apartheid, it's because you don't know what apartheid really was.
We've been called fascists, we've been called preventers of freedom of speech and etc. But you can't get more liberal than our rally today, where I've got Latinos on stage, I've got 2 black speakers on stage, I've got blacks, whites, green, pinks all together for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I grew up in South Africa, so I understand what apartheid is or was. Blacks weren't allowed to vote, blacks weren't allowed to go to schools, blacks weren't allowed to go into restaurants, blacks weren't allowed to be in parliament. Today in Israel, Arabs are allowed to vote. They are allowed to go to schools. They are allowed to get on buses, and they are in parliament. So to make the claim that Israel's an apartheid state is absolutely false and ignorant.
But Palestinians say their reality looks a little bit different.
My family in Palestine, it's under occupation, so there's checkpoints just to go from their house to buy groceries. They might have 2 checkpoints to go through. They're not able to visit other parts of Palestine, like like Jerusalem. So it's definitely really hard to live under those circumstances.
Outside of the event, allegedly armed third-party groups who were unaffiliated with either side combed the neighborhood looking for trouble and eventually starting a brawl. El-Cajon police arrived in SWAT gear, but didn't do anything to stop the rioters. Palestinian protesters say that they were pepper sprayed and that children among them were pepper sprayed in the crossfire by one of these third-party groups as they turned on Main and Claydell to avoid the conflict. Local resident Ryan Caldera was on his way to the gym when he saw the fight break out.
Rioters and stuff, and I just see a lot of white dudes, Trump flags fighting these Palestinians, and I just see others going on about Israel and stuff, and I'm a little close to the situation. All I know is peace and love, hopefully freedom, and the world's still in the end. There should be no fighting, and that's all about to know.
Who incited the violence outside?
Inside it, I'd probably say mostly the Trump supporters. I'd say they probably ran up on everybody, and I saw dudes with fists, and it was just kind of going down, and somebody pepper sprayed, and it was crazy, to be honest.
Despite some of the events taking a negative turn, Jews on both sides of the issue had messages of peace.
I'm here because I care about everyone's safety. That means Palestinian safety, as well as Jewish people's safety, and all of our safety. And so we're here to say, no, we don't believe those lies. We don't believe that Zionism is the same thing as Judaism. We understand that they're different, and we understand that anti-Semitism is a real threat, and that it's those same politicians who rely on fear for their power, who stoke up fear and division and violence, those are the ones who benefit from anti-Semitism. And so we're here to fight against that.
We need peace. Everybody is here because of that. And I think we need to tell the whole story and understand the whole picture when we're thinking of peace. We are Israel. We are Palestine. We are Black lives. We are Asian Americans. We are every human. That's my message.
Dr. Helen Horvath is a Hungarian American with Jewish background. Dr. Horvath attended the pro-Israel rally with the hope of finding peace and combating anti-Semitism, but she found herself a bit disappointed with what transpired.
My parents emigrated to the United States after World War II.
Wonderful. So this was very personal for you, correct?
It was personal, but it was frustrating because there's so many conundrums, so many issues that they say do one thing but not another. For example, homosexuality as an issue. When you define family, we have a religious belief versus an actual relationship. And there are many gays, LGBTQ, who are religious. It was just the sense that it was a political event, not so much to bring people together. That's the theme, but it's political when you have Mike Pompeo here, you have Senator Jones, and if you listen to the speeches in the beginning, when they went around, everybody's talking about different things related to Judeo-Christian values, yet in this country we have individuals who are Muslim, who are Hindu, and different ethnicities and religious beliefs. So how do we justify just creating laws based on one set of values? And it's something we have to explore more as a community.
Reporting from El Cajon for East County Magazine, I'm Brianna Gomez.